Hello, welcome to part 5 of this 7-part series on Sky Sports, covering the drama of the World 8-Ball Pool Championships from the Crowne Plaza in Manchester. Last week we saw 2 quarter-finalists make their way through to the semi-final, Kevin Wright of England and Rob McKenna of Wales. Our next 2 set of quarter-finalists are here beside me. Let me introduce you to them. First off, from Worcester, but representing Wales, last year's beaten finalist, number 10 in the UK, Nigel Davis. And here, ranked number 6 in the UK from Stoke-on-Trent, Lee Kendall. And poised at the mic, as ever, your commentator, Jim White.
Well, thank you, Simon. As you stated, we're all set here for our 3rd quarter-final. And a very tight-fisted encounter this promises to be.
Frame, Lee Kendall to break.
Lee Kendall, the Englishman, all set to break off against Welshman Nigel Davis. Our first quarter-final, a very tactical battle. Our second one, very free-flowing and potting. One can only wait and wonder what this one's going to present.
Right ball potted.
Very obvious from the outset, the fans here well behind their English player here, Lee Kendall.
Right ball's in play.
We're very fortunate to be joined in the commentary box by the previous winner, last quarter-final, and now through to the semi-finals, Rob McKenna. And Rob, I guess you probably know both of these players, and I'm sure, as you said, we had a chance to chat just a little earlier. It's going to be a tough one to pick.
It sure is, Jim, yes. As I said, I know both players reasonably well. They're both very consistent performers, the pair of them. And it really is going to be, I'm not sitting on the fence, it's going to be a really tight one to pick. I'm not a fence sitter. If I fancy one man, I'll say it. But this is going to be a close one.
No, I'd have to say the way you play this game,
Yellow balls.
You'd be about one of the last people I'd pick for a fence sitter.
Thank you, Jim.
Nigel Davis, himself a beaten finalist in this Embassy event last year. He'll be looking to go one step further this season.
I'm sure he will, Jim. Along with the rest of us, he's determined to be crowned world champion at the end of the tournament. But that's what we're all here for. It's normally the man who settles down a little bit the quickest, Jim, that, well, you know yourself, that actually goes on and wins the match. You know yourself how much of an ordeal it can be in front of the TV cameras. You really need to settle into your stride really quickly. That was a great shot he played there. His only problem at the moment seems to be the red, which is near the top left-hand pocket, which is covered by the yellow. The other two look fairly straightforward, but that one looks like it's going to cause a problem or two. The one just on the string line. That's why he's chosen to play on that one straight away.
Terrific shot, that one from Lee Kendall. Early indications, he must be feeling very good. just a simple black. The Englishman will have taken the first frame. Packed house here at the Crown Plaza. Looks like we're going to witness some fine pool indeed. Lee Kendall from Stoke-on-Trent opening accounts here and leading Nigel Davis by 1 frame to 0.
Second frame, Nigel Davis to break, trailing 1-0.
Davis breaking off, exhibiting an awful lot of cue power with a break shot there.
Right ball potted.
Yes, he's a big lad, Jim. That's a very powerful break.
Right balls in play.
A bit unfortunate. I think he was just trying to make contact with the red to bring the red into play a little bit more. He's slightly unfortunate and just missed it on the way through.
Yellow
Well,
balls
would that be a little
play.
bit of carelessness?
I'm sure you'll agree, Jim. You need to win a frame or two before you actually feel like you're in the match, and that's what Nigel will be feeling at the moment. And the longer it goes on, you don't win a frame, then the more edgy you become. So you need a frame or two to actually settle into the match properly.
Mind you, fair to say, Rob, that given the position of the yellows that Lee Kendall is now going to try and dispose of, not the easiest of positions for him, especially for him to try and win in one visit.
That's right. There's a couple of problem balls here again. There's one on the top pocket, which is just above the yellow. That's going to be a problem ball. And there's one on the bottom pocket, which is covered by a red as well. So if he was to attempt to go for the clearance at this stage of the frame, it really would be a little bit special, I think. Yeah, that's why he hasn't gone. He's just biding his time, not doing anything silly. He started the match really well with a fine clearance in the first frame, so he's not going to let Nigel just straight back into the match. It's going to make him work for every shot and every frame.
Well, what I know of Nigel, he's a pretty unassuming fellow. Tends to let his cue do the talking for him, as do most of these players.
Yeah, there's not really any big heads in pool, Jim. Most people have to do their talking on the table, as you say.
And the one thing I do particularly take note of is very similar to the professional game of snooker. A lot of camaraderie between these guys.
Yeah, sure, for sure. It's just a little way of relaxing, I think. Because there is a lot of pressure out there. And you just need something to unwind a little bit. But there's no hard feel or anything. Everybody enjoys a little laugh. See Nigel just trying to slow things up a little bit because he knows Lee was very quickly into his stride. Just trying to slow him down a little touch. Which is not going to be easy because Nigel needs to play fairly quick himself, because as the viewers at home already know, we have a shot clock in play where players are only allowed 1 minute to actually play their shots. And if you don't play a shot within the time allocated, then you get penalised 2 shots away. That's a good job by Nigel. He's giving himself a chance to win the frame here. It's still not easy, but he's giving himself a chance. The interesting thing here, Jim, is going to be see how Nigel's going to dislodge the red, which is by the bottom pocket. That's going to be the interesting thing. That's what his work is in this rack. He's brought it into play very nicely there. And he's put Lee under a little bit of pressure as well.
Another interesting aspect of this Embassy World Pool Championship tournament is just how quickly the complexion of a game can change, and that's happened right here. That one good double by Nigel Davis has all of a sudden seen him go into the favorites role.
That's right, yes. That's a good retaining shot by Lee. Just put the brakes on Nigel for a second, because all Nigel needs to do at this moment is have his hand on the table and have an easy pot, and he would want to win the frame for sure. 3 easy reds and a black, but Lee's played a very good shot there. I think Nigel's going to be a little bit upset with that one, Jim. I'm sure he just handed Lee the frame on a plate. He had the game tied up and he's just put Lee's yellow into a pot-up position, move the red, and then it's an open rack for Lee. That's a good shot.
Yes, very important for him to dislodge the red to leave a clear path for the black. Unlucky for him, although, is that he snookered himself on the remaining yellows. He's got a couple begging at the top right-hand corner, but the path blocked by the red.
Yes, he only played half of the shot there. He gave 100% concentration to actually potting the yellow and moving the red. That's a foul as well, Jim. Because the white ball or the object ball hasn't made contact with the cushion after making contact with his object ball. So he's just handed the frame straight back to Nigel. And I'm sure we'll see him tight up here a rack apiece.
Every time a player of this caliber comes to the table with a shot in hand, you rarely see a mistake. And that's the case here for Nigel Davis. Takes his first frame, always one of the toughest, and squares things up here with Lee Kendall, 1 frame apiece. Glad you could rejoin us for Sky Sports coverage of the Embassy World Pool Championships.
4th frame, Nigel Davis to break, trailing 2 frames to 1.
Nigel receiving a little bit of encouragement from the crowd here. He really did gift wrap that last frame. Important to see now how he reacts.
Yes, Nigel told me earlier, Jim, that he's been for a couple of days fishing to relax and take things easy. And once again, we see Lee here with a very open rack. There doesn't look like there's any problems here in clearing up.
Playing yellow balls.
Doesn't look like there's any problem at all.
Both these two players, regular on the International Professional Pool Players Association tournament circuit. They're in fact both in the top 20 on the ranking list of 93-94. Lee Kendall holding down number 7, whereas Nigel Davis is sitting at number 11. So you've got to bet that they know each other's games inside out.
Yeah, for sure, Jim. As I said earlier, this really is one of the harder matches to pick in the quarterfinals. Actually, picking a winner here is really tough. They're both really consistent, and they know a lot. They know all about their pool.
Could have been a little easier.
Yeah, he's just dropped a little bit short, but this shouldn't pose any problems. Just a quarter ball black into the middle.
Short work made of that visit for Lee Kendall. And England surges in front. 3 frames to 1. Best of 13, remember. The first one to 7.
5th frame, Lee Kendall to break, leading 3 frames to 1.
Two-frame advantage for Lee Kendall.
Foul.
Very unlucky for him. Good break. Color went in, but unfortunately so did the white. That really plagued him last year. That was one thing that he talked about a little earlier when I was speaking with him. Mind you, to look at him, you wouldn't think he was too bothered.
He doesn't look too upset there, Jim, but I'm sure he should be, because the reds have come out very nice.
Playing red balls.
And for an informed Nigel Davis, there wouldn't be any problem here at all. But as we've seen, he's struggling a little bit with his form. Just hasn't settled down 100% yet. And of course, he did go in off, but there isn't a 2-shot penalty for the in off the break. So, Nigel's only got 1 visit here, so this makes it a little bit harder. I say normally, in practice, this would just be routine, but under the TV lights, cameras, and it becomes a little bit harder. And it still doesn't look like there's any problems at all.
Very focused. Lee Kendall, rather expressionless concentration. I'm sure he's wondering if he's going to get another chance in this 5th frame.
That was a well-controlled shot, a little bit of drag. To just bump the white off the side cushion for the black up at the top left.
Well, that's the type of shot that only pressure can excuse.
Yeah, there is really no excuse for missing that sort of pot. Hand on the table, just off straight. Nigel shouldn't be missing them.
Almost looked as though there was a little bit of movement that crept into Nigel Davis, and attempting that black. You probably would have liked to have bet on him getting 5 out of 5.
Total snooker.
As it is, now finds himself in a snookered position.
He makes contact with the black here, Jim. He becomes favoured to win the frame, because the black would have been close to the top pocket. Lee would have only had 1 shot.
2 visits.
But as it is now, then he's a big favourite to go on and win the rack. Just wants 1 good pot to start off the break, and I'm sure we'll see him go on and run the balls out. That was a good shot, just a little bit unfortunate. Made contact with the 2 on the side rail, and he hasn't left himself with anything too easy. So I feel a little bit aggrieved about that one. It still doesn't look like there's too many problems for him.
Well, I mentioned that I had the opportunity to speak with Lee a little earlier, and one thing that he did allude to was the fact that he thought his game was really rounding into form at the right time. He was very happy with the way he was playing as of late, and he couldn't have picked a better time.
Yeah, sure. If every player could pick a time to peak, I'm sure it would be during the World Championships. There is no better time to peak. Had a little look there, Jim. Nigel doesn't look too concerned, but I would be slightly concerned if I was Nigel, because I wouldn't want to let Lee get too far in front of me, because he's a very good front runner, and 3 or 4 racks in front, and then it's all going to be uphill for Nigel.
Well, spoken like a prophet. And front running is just what Lee Kendall's doing, leading now 4 frames to 1 in this best of 13 quarterfinal. And in the background, Nigel Davis, a man with a small mountain to climb. He's trailing in this match by 5 to 1.
Lee Kendall to break, leading 5 frames to 1.
And I think from a player's perspective, he's got to take each ball and each frame as it comes. He can't try and do it all in one go. But he really does have an uphill battle.
Red ball spotted.
And straight away, things not looking too clever for Nigel. He's left with a really open rack. He can choose reds, yellows, whichever he feels more comfortable with it. They both look like sitters. And the way Lee's been playing, I don't really see him a problem, whichever one he chooses. I think he'll run out reds or yellows.
Nominated. Yellow balls in
Very
play.
interesting too, Rob, isn't it? This match looks set to be a very closely knit encounter.
Just dropped a little bit short there, made himself a little bit more work than he had. But I think he'd be looking to dislodge the red. Move the red, because the yellow in the middle of the table, I think is going to be his last ball. Yeah, did that very well. Because the yellow on the nearest the black, should actually be his last ball now. Just to leave himself a nice straight yellow, stun the white for the black into the bottom right. That's what he should be aiming at.
Well, Lee Kendall certainly making better use of the opportunities he's been given and the ones that he's afforded himself.
Once again, it looks like Lee's struggling a little bit with the pace of the table, because he's just overrunning things every other shot or 3. And once again, that's one that's just got away from him a little bit. So this is a little bit of work now that he didn't really want to have to do. That's the sort of kisses you want, Jim. And that's the sort of kisses you normally get when you're playing well. Your opponent's not playing too well. Because you know how easy that could have went all wrong there.
Lee certainly has to be growing in confidence. He's establishing what may prove to be an insurmountable lead. 6 frames to 1 now. 1 more frame, and Lee Kendall will see himself in the semifinals of the Embassy World Professional Pool Championship.
8th frame, Nigel Davis to break, trailing 6 frames to 1.
Well, Nigel needs a little bit of luck.
Red and
Good
yellow
opening
balls
break.
spotted.
Right now, he's in the position back against the wall. In Canada, Rob, we
Red balls
sometimes
in play.
refer to a player having the loser stroke, and that really means where he can throw caution to the wind now. He's got nothing to lose. People don't really expect him to come back in this match.
That's right. All the pressure's off now, Jim. As you say, he's not expected to win. He can like chance his arm a little bit now and really let his arm go. Whereas he's been all tense and worried and nervous. Now he knows he's as good as out. And this is when you normally see the best out of some people.
The black really appears to be the only awkwardly placed ball.
Yeah, that looks like his only problem, yes. It's not too easy to see how he's gonna deal with it. And he's just left himself a little angle on this one now to dislodge the yellow, so the black will actually go down the side rail now. That was a clever shot. His only problem is actually getting on the red. And his man, I think he's just a little bit straight. So we'll probably see a deep screw now here and play the black into the top left-hand pocket. Yes, he looks a different player now, Jim, as we were just saying. He's really let his arm go.
Commentators
Yellow
kiss of
balls
death,
to
Rob.
play.
You'll get used to it. Well, I really did expect him to get that one too. Just ready to say, beware the loser's stroke. And now I fear may well be the beginning of the end for Nigel Davis.
Yeah, when Nigel sums this match up, he's not going to be very pleased with himself, because he's had 2 shots on an easy black into the left centre, and he didn't make the best use of that. He's missed a straight black into the top left-hand corner, and now he's missed another straight black. So that's 3 frames in all, so really, Nigel shouldn't be behind. Nigel should be level at dead worse. Or 1 behind, beg your pardon. So he's not going to be very pleased when he weighs it all up and sees the chances he's had and not made good use of them.
Been a very gritty performance, nevertheless, from Lee Kendall. Not always easy to keep your level of concentration when you know your opponent is struggling. Again, from a player's point of view, that can be very disruptive. Also, something that a lot of these players have is a killer instinct. That's something that is alluded to very often in the professional snooker game. That's something that can't be instilled. It's got to be inbred.
That's right, Jim. You need to pounce on every chance and make the most of every chance, because you sometimes don't get a second one. And so I don't think we're going to see Nigel get a second one here. One ball away from a semi-final appearance, and it doesn't look like there's going to be any problem here. And this is a fine polished performance by Lee.
Yes, Lee Kendall finishing off Nigel Davis. It really was a great performance from him. A 7-1 drubbing of a very good player. And now Simon Reed. Again, going to have a word with our winner.
That was pretty impressive. Did it impress you?
I was a little bit nervous at the start. Last year I lost in the quarterfinals, so it's a big step for me to get through to the semis this year. I'm really happy.
Yeah. It seemed to go well right from the start. Did you feel, you've obviously been working hard on your game, and it seems to have come together at the right moment?
Yeah, I got the break right this year. Kept going off last year, but I'm really happy with my form, and hopefully I can do a little bit better.
Was last year's defeat a real nag for you? Because I know you came in as you really fancied your chances.
Hopefully this year I can just play as well as I played tonight.
And you're coping with the pressure a lot better?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing, hopefully Keith, my mate.
You like Keith?
Yeah, my mate.
Okay. We're going to take a break now. When you come back, you're going to be watching the last quarter-final. Greg Farron of Ireland up against the world #1, Keith Brewer. See you in just a moment.